The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, friends. I am joined by my friend, Mr. Shyam Kapadi, who will assist us in this webinar, who will be taking your questions and putting them onto me. Meanwhile, let us talk about the subject on hand, because I chose this subject with a lot of care, when to sell stocks. So, Shyam, can we have the first slide? Yeah. Friends, we are going to take just 30 odd minutes, including your question and answer. So I have kept this session very brief and to the point. The world is full of buying ideas. Okay. So this program is not on giving you selling ideas, but will tell you why it is important to sell stocks. Okay. Because that is very, very important. So you are daily given various advices to buy stocks. In fact, you seldom receive a sell advice. In fact, there are several valid reasons to sell, and in the following slides, we will discuss some of them. So can we go to the next slide, Shyam? Unless you sell, profits remain only on paper. How many times, tell me, put your hand to your heart and tell me, did you think that, oh, I should have sold the stock at that point of time? Okay. So, because while you are comfortable with a profit on paper, you are not comfortable with vanishing profits on paper. Okay. So, when a stock turns up, multiplies by 5x, and you don't sell, and at the end of the day you end up selling at just 30 odd 50 odd percent high, I mean, you would have you would just curse yourself. So it is very important to sell sometimes, or rather, unless you sell, the profit will only remain on paper. So it is very important to actually go out and book profits. Okay. So that you are able to use that money for other uses also. When you book profits, it is also important to sell uh, to some of the stocks in which you are making losses. It helps you balance your taxation, in the sense that one stock in which you are going to long-term tax, in the other you are going to pay you are going to have long-term, let's say, losses. You can adjust against them, and you only pay the taxes on the difference. So this can be carried forward also, but it is important, because if you sell those stocks in which you are making losses along with the profits, then you will feel slightly better, because while you are booking profit in one of the stock which is profitable, the sell stock, if you don't sell, the stock which is making loss can continue to give you losses which can exceed the whatever profits that you made. So it is very important to actually go out and sell the stocks, because otherwise they will only remain on paper. Next slide, Shyam. A very obvious answer. You should sell when the target is reached. So what do you do? Sometimes a stock which is given with a 30% target, you see that even after achieving the 30%, the stock goes on to increase to certain higher levels also. So is it important that you should sell at 30% profit? I think what you should do immediately is that you should put a stop loss in that stock and get back to the person who advised you to buy this stock. So while you have put a stop loss, so that should it tumble, your profit will be booked, but you still get some time. You can ask if the other person, if your advisor tells you no, this is a further development which has happened after that, so now it is all the more the chances of it going up further are further high. So at that point of time, you can uh, remove the stop loss order and continue to hold the stock. But unless you put a stop loss, or you ask the other person, that opportunity may be gone. So it is important to go back to your advisor and ask him, now you'd advised 30% stock has gone up, shall I sell it or continue to hold? Suppose he says that you can sell. You can still put a stop loss 1 or 2% below that and make it a trailing stop loss. So in case the stock does go up, you can raise the stop loss, and you might end up taking 38, 40 or 45% return from that stock, which would have just given you merely 30%. So nothing is cast in iron, but when the target is reached, it should trigger some action from your end. It is very, very important. So you should be asking and getting back to the advisor, the person who initially advised you to buy the stock. Next slide, Shyam. You should also sell when the fundamentals deteriorate. Very tough, important, in fact, to judge. I mean, the losses, if the company reports a loss, it is not a deterioration of the fundamentals unless you go and study, okay, and then find out, okay, the company has reported a loss this quarter, but that may be one time. So you can understand, go back to your research and ask whether this is okay or not, and accordingly take that advice. But sometimes the losses that the company may have made may be one time. So it is very important to understand that the losses which have been made financially, whether they're going to continue or not. If they're not going to continue and if the company is getting back into profits, you should be in no hurry to sell that stock. So any deterioration in fundamentals needs to be checked with your fundamental advisor. There are certain times when the technology goes obsolete, but when the technology is going obsolete, it doesn't go obsolete in a day. It takes time for you to realize that things are no longer the same. So it takes a certain period of time. So if you have the knack to understand this, it is very important that the earlier you get out, the better it is. And some of the times the action are so clear that you notice them, and then it is very easy for you to realize that now this gentleman, this company is going bad from good. So you need to take those kind of decisions, understand them, and you have to weigh the implications of such kind of decisions. Now, this is a bulldozing of minority interest. Can I give you an example? Of course I can. Let's take the example of Satyam. Before Mr. Raju conceded to the fact that he had blown up and cooked up the accounts, before that he did try something else, and that was to merge his very profitable software company Satyam Computers with Meta's Reality, which is just the opposite of Satyam. Meta's reality and merging. So where have you heard a company which is a software company being merged with a real estate company? So only to hide losses, he was doing that. So you could, if you had exited at that point of time, it would have been great. But thereafter, the company, when he apologized, when he told public that he owned up that he has committed fraud, that was a separate thing. But these kind of things, there are some certain other kinds of minority, let's say bulldozing of views, and there are many examples. So one such example I'll give you is from a very well-known company called Gillette, and it was earlier known as Indian Shaving Products. So those of you who are old enough to remember the 2000 year, you'd recall that in that particular year, the company merged Indian Shaving Products, which had this very profitable shaving products business, merged a loss-making dry cell company called Duracell with Indian Shaving Products. And it's okay to merge two companies, but on what basis? Here is a very profitable company and the other is a loss-making company, and you are merging them on the basis of their sales? My God, give me a break. This is very, very evident. The stock, which was quoting at 2,400 rupees at that point of time, tumbled. Within a year or so, it was at 300 odd rupees. It surrendered 90% of the value. So you understand that the public can accept anything, but will not accept a lie or something which goes against the interest. The public punishes them very, very quickly. Here now we come to a very important question, that if a management does turn bad, is it always bad? No, that's not the case. It might change. I mean, we all know that Rishi Valmiki himself was a dacoit first. So that's not to talk about corporates. But what I'm saying is that things can change. So here is Indian Shaving Products, another second coming. The company is now runs into a loss, and at that point of time it is in the dire need of money, and here is that the promoters come with a preference share issue of 0.5%. I mean, preference shares, those of you who know that preference shares have a right over the equity shares on payment of dividend. So that dividend could be anything. It could be 10%, 12%, and in those days, it could very well, instead of preference share, it could have very well been a debenture. And the going rates for interest in those times were around 14%. So if the objective was to drain the company, the promoters would have come out with a debenture issue. They could have come out with an equity issue and raised their equity further. But nothing of that sort happened. Instead, they came out with a preference share capital issue of 100 odd crores and with a 0.5% interest. That was something which was an instant, let's say, signal that here the management means business. The objective is to really help the company. Otherwise, who would bring in funds into the company at 0.5%? So here was a serious hard change, and the stock which was at 300 ran up to 2,400 in a year's time, and the rest is history. So what we know Gillette today is a part of story of that. So things we need to understand, the management quality and sell and take a decision whenever a sell decision happens, or whenever we find that the company's management has changed for the worse. We should sell the stock, but there are avenues in which if the management is becoming better, then it also gives you an opportunity to buy. So that depends upon your, so you have to be very, very alert about the quality of management of the stocks that you are owning. So next slide, Shyam. So you should also sell when the period for which you had intended to hold those shares has come to an end. There could be many instances. For instance, you might have had want to buy a house, you had set aside some sum, and now you are going to buy. So sell that stock, go out and take your money. So here the price is already okay, the company is profitable, giving you good returns, but you are wanting the money back because you need to build your house. So you should be honoring those timelines and that discipline which you have built for yourself. You should honor them. On a lighter vein, you could have said, told your wife that okay, you wanted that diamond set, will give you after 6 months, and in this lockdown you said there is no there are no shops also at this point of time to buy. In the beginning, I mean, and okay, I hope in the next 6 months it will be over, and so at that time we'll go and buy. So my dear sirs, those 6 months have gone over. So take your money out of the stocks, go out and buy that diamond set for your wife, if that was the initial objective from where the money was brought in. And if you had borrowed money, by all means, no equity on borrowed money. So it is important, very important, to go out and pay back whatever the amount was. Some people might want to risk their money which they have set aside for children's education and equity. Don't do it. So if at all you have done it, take out time, okay, and put it in the right scheme. Next slide, Shyam. Oh, so here is when the stock bulges. I mean, let's say we begin with 5 stocks, and after a year or so, we have 5 stocks, we've invested 20% each, and suddenly we find that out of those 5 stocks, one stock is now accounts for 50% of your one account. Is the audio okay? Shyam, is the audio okay?
The audio is okay, fine.
Yeah. So then you go out and see, okay, that one stock now accounts for, instead of 20%, it accounts for 50% of your portfolio. That means then that stock has done really well, provided other stocks have not halved in value, okay? Provided there is return also, and then if one stock becomes 50% of your portfolio, that means the gain here are substantial. So prune it down by any particular percentage that you would want, because you need to have this in mind, because otherwise this is just a reminder. I mean, you can go back to your investor, your advisor, and ask, sir, this has gone up now these many times, so is it a hold? You can go back and play that game again. But mind you, if a single stock accounts for more than 50% of your portfolio, it's time to go back and do your homework all over again. It's just a reminder that it may be good, it may be good to hold on, but it may also be that you need to review that stock and book partial profits, or you may want to sell the entire thing if things are not that rosy from there on. So this is just a reminder. So if any stock, this is more than equity, obviously you can go out and ask your advisor and accordingly reduce the component. But there is a risk here that because out of the 10 stocks that you hold, only one is going to be a multi-bagger, it could be that stock. So it is essential to go back and to your study room also, or your advisor, and do that homework all over again. You don't sell your winning horses at that point of time. So trim it as a discipline if you want. If there is nothing extraordinary that you find, I think it's time. Okay, so you can, it will be forced profit booking for you. You can utilize that opportunity to really go out and book that profit. Next slide, Shyam. This is fantastic. See, all of us have a limited amount of capital. I have got 1 lakh rupees. I want to make it 10 lakhs. Somebody has got 1 crore rupees. He wants to make it 100 crores. How is that possible? It is possible in the equity markets. But the idea that I want to let's say hammer is that no matter what is the quantum money you have, that quantum money with you is essentially a limited amount of money. You would want that my 5 crores which you have should be 10 crores. Okay, so that amount is limited for you, irrespective of what that amount is. So it is very much essential that you ought to make the best out of the portfolio. How do you make? By weeding out the stocks which are not doing well, where you know the fundamentals are deteriorating, by weeding out the ones where the management is breaking rogue, weeding out those stocks where the margins have fallen, debts are rising. So such kind of things, when you do, you will be tempted to stay with the better ones. Now, while you may have a better stock, you may have chosen the best, but suddenly a stock is listed on the bourses and it's attractively priced, so you buy, but in the IPO you don't get anything. And if you feel that that stock has a potential which is much more than the stocks what you have, when it is listed on the bourses, it's good time to sell one of your stocks and buy that stock. Because ultimately your objective is to make money, and these stocks are the horses, and we should choose the best Arabic horse. We have got a right to choose the best. How do you do it? So ensure that you do a fashion parade of all your stocks at least annually, and see which one of them is not performing. That apart, the stocks what you hold, attend seminars of other companies also, of other people also, look at other people's portfolio, find out whether there is a good stock which you don't have. The best way to begin in choosing a stock which is better is to look at the top 10 top holdings or new inclusions which have been done in the mutual funds. You can go out and choose, okay, these are the 30 additions which have happened to the mutual funds. Which one seems most potential? Compare that with your existing ones. So you can decide comparatively. So essentially, read as much as you can, and the more you read, the more informed you will become. See, the rather good or bad part of reading is that the more you read, the more you realize your ignorance, and that is what makes you more humble. So makes you more, let's say, focused on your job at hand. So when we are talking about individuals, we have an unfair advantage over the mutual funds, because we do not have to have I'm talking about it as an individual. So as an individual investor, you do not have to have an investment committee meeting. Okay, you do not have to wait for somebody to for a research report to come in to buy a stock. Okay, you can buy based upon technicals, you can buy based upon uh, news item, you can buy on any of those things. And you also have the advantage of looking at the various recommendations by the persons whom you value on a particular channel. Okay, and choose 5 stocks that they have recommended last month. Choose those stocks and put a value of 10% below that. So when he recommended that stock at that price, 10% down is a great price to buy if other things are equal. So we as consumers, as individual shareholders, have a great advantage over mutual funds. We should be able to beat the markets. We should be able to beat the mutual funds. So those active investors who are now listening are potential. They have a huge potential to make money. And you ought to really work on this. These are some of the examples I've given. So best is, I mean, you have to prod your existing stocks to do well. In case they don't get in another stock and replace the 5th weakest stock in your portfolio. I think this should help. Next, Sham. Obviously, stocks are that thing which are liquid. Can you sell real estate overnight? No. Can you sell your house within a month? Unlikely. Will you get all your cash at your price? Not likely. Can you sell it in a year's time? Can't say at your price. So essentially, but the stock can be sold at the stock price whenever you want, because that is not, because when you, that is very different from real estate. When you go out and buy, when you want to buy a flat, the builder will tell you X rate. When you want to go out and sell, so he already he wants to sell, so why he buy yours? So it will be a discount to that. So very different. So here it's very liquid. So whenever you need money, you can just go out and sell the stock. Okay. A social obligation, helping friends or relatives, helping for a cause. Okay, giving something to the army, for the COVID warriors, or for the country, whatever. So it is essential that it's a very liquid item, and you should be willing to sell the stocks when the need for the money arises. Obviously, you can say that you can take loan against shares and all that. You can, if the objective is that the money will come back after some period of time, you can do that. But the objective is, when you are giving away that money, there's no use taking a loan against securities. Just sell that stock. Next slide, Sham. I mean, nobody will tell you this, but it is very important to use the proceeds of your hard-earned money for yourself. I mean, for the child, you will give a good education. You would want to leave something for the next generation. Good. You want to give something to the society? Yeah. But remember, life is very short. Okay? And health is something which cannot be exchanged for money. So never compromise with your health for earning wealth. So take out time to run to 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 be physically fit, no needs for any medicines, and enjoy your life, enjoy your work. Take your vacations when the kids are small. Take your vacations when the kids can are adult. They can go out and also appreciate. Take them out even when you are old, because it's enjoyment of life is not a one-time affair. It is not something which you will do only at the fag end of the life. No, very much essential that if you are financially disciplined, you will be able to take an annual holiday. If you want to do a world tour, do it when you are young. There's no use doing in the old age. If photography is your, let's say, hobby, and you've always saved that money for that lens, which cost a bazooka, which will cost you something like, put you under 7-8 lakhs, camera itself 3 lakhs. So, but you'll have those 10 lakhs which you can spend on that camera set, but do you have the hands which can hold the 4.5 kilo weight of the lens and 1.8 kilos of the camera? Will it be steady enough? So everything has a time. So ensure that you enjoy yours also on time. How can you do that? So the people who do their homework, people who value time, are the ones who book their tickets early, who go on those vacations, are the ones who save money, who set aside money, who invest rightfully in a disciplined manner, are going to take holidays. So if you have ignored spending the money on yourself, please don't do it anymore. No matter what your age, your part of holiday, your part of life enjoyment needs to be there, and it doesn't have to be at the cost of money. So I'm not saying that in your young age you should go out and buy a Mercedes. After all, the same thing can be even a small time Maruti can also do that thing for you. So you can choose, but definitely you should, at each age of your stage of your life, you should be enjoying life, and then only it will be complete, and then only investing for wealth will be a great idea, and you will do it willingly and happily. Next slide, Sham. This some parting advice for traders. I know that traders are not going to listen to anybody, not even to themselves. But nevertheless, it makes my job, let's say my job will not be complete unless I address the traders. I know keeping stop loss, you know, and you have not been keeping, so therefore you have lost a lot of money. Please keep a stop loss and make that drilling. There is no other answer to cut down your losses. And the second point what I have is the most important for traders. See, you give some money to the broker, you give some shares to the broker, and the broker allows you a sum. Okay, this much you can buy. You know, the biggest problem of traders is that they go out and use their limit to the limit every day. And such traders are going to end up in a loss. You are driving a vehicle, so that accelerator, what you have is the money that is there with you. The brake is your risk management. So do you drive your car at 80 kilometers per hour in the bylanes of Bombay, Delhi, wherever you are? No. You will look at the traffic and then you will use the speed. So although your tank is full, you have your leg is ready to press the accelerator, but you are not, because you are looking at the traffic ahead. So only when you are sure, then use your limit to the full. Otherwise, let it be. It will prevent many future losses if you just use it wisely. Some of you might feel that as a trader, if you are beginning in the morning, most traders begin early and they have taken their trade, book losses, whatever, they wait up for the end of the day. Sometimes you'll get a profit, sometimes you'll get a loss. But if you think that trading only in the morning doesn't help you, you can go out and do it the other way around. You can start trading after 2:30 for a change. You'll find certainly there are opportunities which are coming are many. Some of them may get exited the same day or earlier the next day. So experiment with the various timings. I think you will find your right combination. Another thing is, suppose you have been extraordinarily lucky with a particular trade. As a rule, take 20% profit of that profit and put it separately in an investment account. Because that will help you when a particular trade goes awfully bad. So keeping your accounts and knowing whether you are into a profit or a loss in a particular stock is very material for your own sake. One of the other mechanisms I have seen some people doing it, that they fix their losses per month. So for in case this particular month, if I make a trading loss of more than 20,000 rupees, I will not trade. Suppose my 20,000 limit has been crossed on the 10th day, I will not trade for the rest of the month. What it does is, perhaps because you lost in continuously, perhaps you needed to give it a break and think clearly, or maybe it was a bad portion that is passed. This will help you in terms of coming out better with a stronger sense of mind. I think, Shyam, we can now thank them and we can have the questions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vikesh Sharma, for the wonderful session. I will now urge the participant to ask any questions. Please click on the question mark on your screen and type in your questions. I repeat, to ask any questions, please click on the question mark on your screen and type in your questions. So we have a first question. The question is, you have talked about bad management. So how do you know that the management is turning bad? What are the indicators?
Okay. See, the early indications are that a company which used to have good auditors is replacing them with a slightly unknown auditor, an auditor resigning, an independent director resigning, or for that matter, the company changing the depreciation policies, which are not the industry mark. and a key person similarly who was responsible for that particular company's huge margins is joining competition. So it could be a combination of all these, but most of the times it will be falling margins gradually, slowly. So it need not come by virtue of a company going back totally, but management obviously dividend policy, dividends which they are giving are now not giving in time, or there is a delay, all these things. So, and obviously the kind of policies that we have discussed where the two companies have been merged. So these kind of ratios, or for that matter, um, in the latest case also for a company, for a metal company which was being proposal for delisting, the reason that they changed their book value was precisely that it was to mislead the public. So you will find signatures everywhere of a management which is not truly good.
The
Any
next
other question?
question is, yeah.
Hmm.
This is related to the US election. The person is asking, should we wait for the outcome of the US election to invest in the US markets, and for the matter, even Indian market?
That's a tough one, but essentially, if you are willing to, if you are going to do an SIP with the funds, which is the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq 100, if you are going to start an SIP, it need not wait for any kind of event. It should continue. If you are going for stocks, individual stocks, where you have done your homework, you know which stock are you buying, I think staggered buying would be the way out. Now, suppose the outcome of the election goes in a particular manner, very favorable to the markets, at least you would have bought something. And in case it goes bad, you are lucky that you haven't bought everything. So a staggered mannered buying would definitely help, except in the case of, let's say, index funds. It should be a weekly, monthly, whatever that you want to start. That should start immediately.
The next question is, who do you think is better for India in this respect?
I mean, you mean between the two candidates?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have proven Mr. Trump is definitely good for India. He is good for the US first, and then he is good for India. Mr. Biden was similarly responsible for holding back the cryogenic engines which we required for our space missions. That was held back. Russia was supplying, and it wasn't Mr. Biden, as a senator at that point of time, ensured that it didn't happen. So Russia had to withdraw, although the same engines were being given to China at that time. So Mr. Biden is definitely somebody who is less, let's say, favorable to India than Trump. But in the US, you have an institutionalized system where the foreign policy doesn't change with the change of the president. So there is a CIA, there are the chiefs of staff and the whole deep state which is there takes care and ensures that the policy is a policy of continuity and there are no harsh changes so far. So within that, I think Trump is better for India, but I think we will forget this in a month or so from whatever the elections happen, outcome happens. Some people are saying that you have all the polls going in for Mr. Biden, and he is also leading. He is won the debates also. Similar story was there with Miss Clinton last time. She was leading, she had won all the debates. She also won 2% more popular vote than Trump, but lost because of she didn't get the electoral votes. So since in the US, the electoral votes, the winner takes all. In all but 2 of the states, US states, this rule applies. So you might lose by 90% a state, and that state may have 10 seats. So you lose 10 seats. In other state, you might win just by 1 vote. Just by 1 vote. But that state has 15 seats. You take the state. So it is possible for a person who doesn't get the popular vote can still become the president like Trump did last
time. So we have one more question. The person is asking, when you need money and you sell stocks, should we sell stocks in profits or those in losses? How do you pick?
Okay. Very valid question. So you understand that this is from a stock picker himself. So you would know that this particular stock, is it going to go down further? Okay. Or given 1 year, although the stock is down now, will it go higher? Or the one which is higher already into profits, will that go still higher, or that will remain there? So you can choose based upon where the velocity is higher. If the lower stock has a higher velocity to come up, you should keep the one which is in a loss and maybe book profits in the other one. But in case you feel that the profitable one, although it is into profits, may stagnate for a while, you can take that and normal profit booking. And if you want that the money is large, you can sell one stock which is profitable, one stock which is into a loss, and that stock which has the least potential to go up, you can choose, and accordingly you will pay less taxes.
So we have one more question. The person is thanking us for having this good webinar. His problem is, he says that he has lost many a times due to waiting for more and more profits. His question is, how do you fix targets? Should it be 30%, 50%? What is the method to fix targets?
Okay. So I'm glad that you came up with this question. See, I would be pretty happy if I can put my funds, my money into any product which will give me 20% return per annum. I'll just sleep peacefully. So 20% per annum is a good target. Okay, but remember, the stock which has given you 20% today is likely can give you 40% tomorrow. So it is very important to continuously evaluate your stocks. It's not easy. In the stock market, you have to remain awake, with open eyes to make your dreams come true. Nevertheless, that was my answer. 20% is a great target. 50 you should find out, and if it is more than that, then you should celebrate.
So we'll take one last question. The question is, what is the best stop loss percentage for calls? How do you use stop losses? Prevent losses.
I'll assume this way, that let's take a fundamental call, in the sense that there is a buy call on a particular stock, fundamental, there will not be any stop loss. If the target given is 12% or so, if the target given for that particular stock is 12%, you should consider 6% going down of your stock as a knock on your door to go and ask your client, ask your advisor, boss, is it all right to hold or shall I sell? One. If it's a trade, then if it has come as advice to follow the rule of the target and the stop loss, whatever that person may have given you. But if you do not have any and you yourself are investing trading, as a thumb rule, the ratio between the stop loss and the target should at least be 3x. So you feel that the stock, not only that you want, look at the technicals and there is a movement, chances of movement of the stock going up by 6%, then 2% should be your stop loss. You cannot have 0.5% as a stop loss because that can go, come and go. But something like 2% is valid. But once your stock, suppose you bought a stock on 100 with a target of 106, stop loss at 98. The stock is at 100, it goes to 99, comes back to 100, now it is 101, now it goes to 102. The moment it goes to 102, bring your stop loss from 98 to 100. So you will not lose. You made sure you will not lose. Once it goes to 104, bring it to 102. Goes to 105, you might be in two minds. Shall I sell now instead of waiting for 6? You can, no issues. Sell the stock, remove the stop loss. And in case you are holding on, it has reached 6, you raise the stop loss from 102 to 104. You continue to hold. It goes above that, you raise your stop loss. So there might be a chance that from the target which was given, you might end up making better profits than that, but that's okay. That's your luck. But that will come only if you make it a trailing stop loss.
I think we have run out of questions. Thank you so much for addressing this webinar. Just one announcement to all the participants. For anybody who has joined in late or would like to see this webinar again, we'll be uploading this webinar on YouTube after a couple of hours. Probably by 6 o'clock, we'll upload this, and you can see the same on our YouTube channel. That is HDFC Securities under the playlist webinars. Mr. Vikesh Sharma, would you like to have some closing remarks?
Yeah, I must say thank you to all our let's say people who have joined, and wish you all the best. I'm sure that you will come out great winners by the end of March. These are very turbulent times, but you will be coming out and you will coming out unscathed. All the best and have a good time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vijay.